What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about a recent release that happened this past Friday, and that is from Denzel Curry's new supergroup, the Scythe, and their new album, Strictly for the Scythe. And this is a very, very interesting project for a lot of reasons, especially coming off my last video that I made talking about Concrete Boys, another collective, and what I think they are kind of doing wrong as far as launching the members that aren't Lil Yachty into mainstream. So go watch that if you're at all interested. And you kind of have a different situation in the collective space with this the Scythe group. I believe that it feels like this is more of a Denzel Curry led thing, but they have different artists with pretty good fan bases, like loyal fan bases and audiences that they've kind of grown for themselves. So it's a little bit different from Concrete Boys in that regard, because I feel like a lot of those people, or a lot of the other members of Concrete, have not done that for themselves. Like when you think of them, it's usually in association with Lil Yachty. And I understand from like a putting on perspective at first, but I just feel like they haven't done enough to capitalize on those looks and those moments to actually get their own audience outside of the people that are just kind of showing up for Yachty. So like the Scythe group is a perfect example of them kind of doing it differently, because a lot of pretty much everyone on here has had some sort of audience for themselves before being in this group. You got ASAP Ferg, BK the Rule, Tia Corinne, and Kenyatta. I never know if I'm saying that right. And Curry, obviously. So while not all of these people are necessarily superstars or as big as Curry, other than ASAP Ferg, they do have their own audiences. Like I see stuff from them from their solo careers. Like their solo careers are not invisible to people that are in this kind of, subsection of hip hop. And I only say subsection because every section is a subsection. So like, I mean, I'm definitely saw or heard from them for the first time, I think through Denzel Curry projects. But I've always kind of seen their names thrown around, and they just weren't artists that I had a chance to go check out. And so this group, I think, is a perfect way to execute on this type of thing. Not that they are even necessarily going for the same outcome, but just the fact that these people do have their own audiences that are all being attracted to this project. So that's good. I will say, I mean, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Anything Denzel Curry does usually has a stamp of quality behind it, and no one's denying that. But because you have such diverse sounds all coming together, you have different audiences that are checking this out. So not everyone who wants to hear new Denzel Curry music is interested in some of these other artists. And I think it just kind of comes down to like a personal taste thing, because I do think everyone here has kind of carved out their own niche, their own lane. And obviously when someone who wants to come for Denzel Curry and isn't necessarily invested into a Tia Corinne, they might not like the whole project. And that seems to be it. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was an 8-song little thing, and it didn't have a necessarily, like, it wasn't a concept album, but I wasn't expecting that either. It's like a super group, and it was more so playing off the different chemistry that these different artists and these different sounds can kind of have when they come together. And I like that type of experimentation. Like, you probably wouldn't necessarily see some of these people collaborating the way they did on this outside of a project like this. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, you hear experimental tracks from albums all the time, but I think this is just a great way to blend all these people together and kind of like, what is it like when you mix people to completely different sounds? And I think that also really helps this group, the fact that they do have such a diverse member group. Like, no one feels like they're necessarily kind of a clone of the other or occupying the same space. Like, they all are bringing their own unique skill set and sound to the project, and I really do appreciate that out of something like this. So I think that this was a great first stab at this collective. It was only 8 songs. I think like 3 of them released as singles. But let's be real. In the days of people investing into projects that are an hour plus, Very, very rare these days for a lot of people, especially with a project like this when you have such diverse fan bases all coming together. Like asking someone to sit through the entire project, if it was, approaching the 50 to an hour mark, 50-minute to an hour mark, that is probably not going to happen, unfortunately. And it sucks just because, you would. I really, really wish people would give music like the solid shot that a project deserves, But I mean, what I think isn't going to help them, want to listen and sit through the whole thing. So I think that going with just an 8 song, something, I think it was like around half an hour, like it's the perfect length to hopefully get people to listen to the whole project, while also, for me, I'm excited for volume 2. I understand not liking every song on this. I mean, I think, like I said, depending on how you feel about the different styles that are kind of at play here, it's not going to be the best project necessarily. I enjoy a lot of subgenres of hip hop, so it's cool to me to see them, mix together the way they do in this album. But if you're not a fan of one of these people, I could see not liking them on any of the tracks. So, and that was like a kind of a good amount of the criticism I was seeing online, which kind of checked out. Like the best example of this to me was was it All Is Yellow album, whatever, the Lyrical Lemonade album. That is like basically what happened here. You just have so many artists from different sounds and different subgenres that when you put them all on a singular project, not too many people are going to love the project as a whole, because there are just some things that are outside of their wheelhouse as far as to what they're listening to consistently. And throwing them on the album, even when you do have like a good person maybe that they do enjoy, even on the same song, that other person's presence, they don't want it, and that kind of kills the experience for them. So I think this is just very much a version of that, because like I said, all these guys, I like that everyone here has their own little fan base, their own lane, they're doing their own thing, and this is just kind of a cool way for them to all collaborate, experiment together, and hopefully make some cool tracks. It's not going to hit for everybody, because if you don't like the person, you're just not going to like the person. This album will not change your mind on that, and it's not going to bring you anything so out of this world that I think that if you're already inclined to dislike it, there's nothing on this album to change your mind, basically. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys check this album out? Do you think that this collective has the legs to kind of, put some more projects out there? Or is this the kind of thing where, because even they have all of their own lanes and audiences, maybe it's just so hard for them to come back together and end up putting out a second release? I enjoyed it for what it was, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Have a good one.